request to take this model and do some slight adjustments to it to match a photo of Pete Rose. So I figured I would just go ahead and sort of document the process so you guys can see how this is done. First thing I noticed looking at this model in Meshmixer is these red dots. If you ever see these on a model, those are errors in the mesh. So I want to address those first. So I'm going to highlight that particular part. You go up to over to analysis here, hit inspector, and now those are all different errors in the mesh. A lot of times it's holes, it can be something else. Sometimes it really doesn't even affect the printing, but I like to clear those up if I can. So I just hit auto repair on all, and it's going to fix all those errors. Looks much better now. Okay, hit done. And for this alteration, we're only going to be focusing on the upper body, which is in 3 parts, 2 for the arms and then 1 for the body. Now I could choose to bring each of these parts separately into Blender and pose them, but that's creating more work. I want to combine those, so I'm going to select the jersey and then the arms together. Now usually you would see combine up here. It didn't pull that automatically, so I got to go over to edit and then hit combine, and now this is all one part. I'm going to export that. Let's call this new top. And then I can open up Blender. We're going to just choose general. Remember, we want to get rid of these elements before we begin working. So I'm just going to draw a box around those. Hit delete. And we're going to import in our STL file. So we go File, Import, STL. Here's my folder. And I'm going to choose the new top. And I do want the pants, so I can see how those all sort of go together. And hit Import STL. All right. Here we are. Ooh. Good. All right. I want to kind of bring this model over to the center here. So I'm going to grab both pieces, hit G to grab. I'm going to pull that over like so. I'm going to hit R to rotate. And getting a little trouble rotating because the origin point for this model is way over here. So I'm going to right click on the model, set origin, and then center a mass. That brings it right underneath. Makes rotating a lot easier. Just like that. Okay. First thing I want to do is start to pull in an armature. So I'll go up here to add and armature. Put it down there. It's really small. I want to scale that up. So I want to hit S to scale. Drag. Pull that up like so. Want to go over to my armature options, viewport display, and hit in front. So now, no matter where I move this, okay, it's always going to be visible. All right. So I'm going to pull this up near the head. I'm going to flip it around like so. I want the thicker part up at the top. I'm going to hit R again to rotate, G to grab. We want to this will sort of be the neck. Pull it over there. R to rotate. We can scale this down with S, G to grab again. All right, this is a little bit better. Sort of center this up. Okay, that's the start of our armature. So let's add the rest of the bones here. To do that, with the bone selected, you want to go change from object mode up here to edit mode. All right, it highlighted this joint here. To add a new bone off of this, we hit E to extrude. And I'll just pull this over here for the shoulder. And I'm just going to make sure that looks lined up. If I want to move it over, I can just hit G to grab and move it. Good. And I'm going to hit E again to extrude a new bone. We're going to come down to the elbow. I'll rotate around. Looks like it's in a good place here. Hit E again. Come down to the wrist. Rotate around. I need to move this over. Hit G again. Pull it there. And we'll pull it down. All right, that looks good. Let's do the other side. Now you can get a little bit fancier with Blender. There's symmetry modifiers that you can apply, so you can apply the same bones to the other side using a symmetry modifier, but it's a little complicated for this, and we're not doing many bones. So I'm gonna grab this joint again, E to extrude, over, looks good, E again, pull down to the elbow, G to grab, get it in place, E again to extrude, pull it down to the wrist, G to grab and move it over. Looks good. All right, now we have to do the spine. So grab this center joint again. All right, gonna hit E to extrude. I'm gonna pull down here. We're just gonna do, we should only need 3 for this. So hit E again, and then E again. Let's make sure that he's lined up here. So G to grab, pull it in, and pull it in. Okay, so that's pretty much lined up down the center. We're in here. I'm going to grab this one. There we go. Pull it back a little bit. Okay. Grab this one. I'm going to rotate it. There we go. Okay. All right. That looks pretty good. With our... Actually, we need to move this one over a little bit. It got a little janky. Pull that over. There. Okay. All right. With our armature complete, we're going to go back up to object mode. We need to select the body first, then shift click, select the armature. Now we parent those by doing Control P, and we want to do with automatic weights. Again, this process may take a long time to do depending on the complexity of the model, complexity of the armature, and the speed of your computer. So I will edit this to cut out the time, and we'll let you know how long it actually took. Okay, and now that's done. That took about 2 minutes to do. All right, now you can see that the armature and the top, that's all nested together. All right, now we can start posing. But before we do that, we should follow our reference photo. One of the cool things about Blender is you can actually bring in reference photos. So we're going to go up to Add, and Image, and Reference. And this is my reference photo right here. Once again, you don't get previews in Blender, so just got to know what you're grabbing. Load reference image. It's very small. I hit S to scale. Drag it up. G to grab. And grab it again. We'll put it back here. We'll try to rotate that, sort of square it up a little bit. I'm going to turn this a little bit. We want to go around the Z axis here. And I'm going to move that back just a little bit more. Remember G to grab. Okay, so we just have to get them bent over a little bit more. We're going to adjust the arms too. Looks like we need to bring the arm, at least this arm, in a little bit. So to adjust the pose, we select the armature. You can grab any bone. It's going to select them all. Go to object mode. From object mode, you go to pose mode. All right, so we're going to select this bone. R to rotate. We're going to pull that arm in a little bit. Pull this one in a little bit. Now, it looks like in that photo here, his arm's going back just a little bit. So we're going to pull that back and then bring this arm forward. Okay. Probably same thing for here. We're going to bring this arm, shoulder back, bring this here, and then bring it in. Just using R to rotate, changing my view. All right, now we have to arch that back like that. So we're going to start with this one here. Hit R. We're going to pull up. We're going to pull this up, and then we're going to bend these back here and here. All right. So what we want to do from here is go back into object mode. Make sure you grab both by holding shift click. So grab your model and grab your armature, and now hit R to rotate the whole thing, and then hit G. We're going to pull that back down into place here. Make sure it kind of lines up here. Okay, so now we got that. Now the upper body's in place, and we need to relook at those arms now. So we'll select the armature again. Switch from object mode to pose mode. Yep, because we see we're clipping into the leg here. So we're just going to make some adjustments here. Grab that arm, R to rotate. Let's pull that up so it's not clipping the leg anymore. Position looks pretty good. We'll flip around here again. Okay, that's actually not clipping. We'll give it just a little bit more breathing room here. Just like that. All right, so now we got a nice bend. This is a lot closer to the reference photo. So from there, what we can do is go back into object mode. We'll hide the armature. So we can sort of take a look. All right, looks much better. We're going to take this. We're going to go File. We're going to go Export, Export STL. We're going to put it back in that folder, and we'll call this Pete Rose Top. And when we export out of Blender, and I make this mistake all the time, and I don't realize till I go back in Meshmixer, even though I just have the top selected here, it's going to export every part of the model. So if I were to do this and open up a Meshmixer, I'd have the top and the bottom. I want to make sure that I have selection only. Now it'll only export the top out of here. So I'll hit Export STL. I'm going to go back into Meshmixer. Yeah, there's our original top here. I'm going to go ahead and hide that. And then import, append, Pete Rose Top. Of course it put it far away. I was really hoping it was going to put it in the same spot. So we're just going to bring that down. Rotate, 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 rotate. Just get it into position. This is like the part of Meshmixer that I really dislike. All right, looks pretty good. So that was what we were hoping for. Now, it's all one part though. For 3D printing, I want this in multiple parts. So because we did combine, we are allowed to separate. So with this file selected, I'm going to go up to Edit and Separate Shells. And what do we have? Okay, so now we have the top here. And then we do have our arms. We have some extra shells. What are those extra shells? They're the little nubs here. So I want to recombine those. So I'll select the arm, select the nub, and hit Combine. Now, when you choose Combine, that allows you to separate them later. If you want to make them one object forever, you would select both and do Boolean Union. Once you do that, they are forever one piece, and you cannot separate them. But there's advantages to doing that. If you want to combine two parts and be able to sculpt them together, you have to do that union. In this case, we can just do combine. We're not going to be doing any sculpting between the two. So now we have our arms and we have our top here. 3 separate pieces that we can export and print. All right, hope that was helpful.